Welcome to Healing Through Dentistry podcast,
where we redefine health, wellness, and the power of your smile.
We're your hosts,
Hana
and Eva, twin sisters, qualified dentists and medical doctors.
This is more than a dental podcast.
It's a journey into profound connection between oral health and whole body healing.
Through personal stories, inspiring client transformations, and expert insights,
we explore how dentistry can ignite energy, relieve chronic pain, and transform lives.
Get ready to discover the extraordinary ways your smile can heal, inside and out.
Let's begin.
Hi, and welcome to Healing Through Dentistry. Today, we'd like to share our insights from a Biohack Summit in Prague, which was held only yesterday. Today, we're on the go for another course in Switzerland for our ceramic implant education, advanced education. But because we're on a go and we'd like to share what happened yesterday, that's why we decided just to talk about it here in the car. So in the last episode, we touched on a specialty of water and nutrition in general. Today, we'd like to talk about more pillars, which in my opinion was the common theme throughout the whole event. There were several speakers who were talking all in the same language for me, or I did hear a similar language, and they were touching, even though it was a biohack summit, for some it might be more kind of, when you say biohack, they might be thinking about technology. It was about technology as well, but for me, it was more about the speakers reminding us mind, body, soul connections, and also that we are the creators and we are each of us responsible for our not only the health but qualities of the life and thoughts, emotions, as a matter of fact. So maybe I'd like to talk about one presentation, which was for me, my ears, empowering us people to take, our responsibility, or we always say it about the wheel of the car in your hands, because your body is your car and you want to maintain it in a brilliant state. Otherwise, it stops working. So one of them was a functional doctor in the Czech Republic who is going to speak our language as well, because the whole his presentation was empowering people to realize that it's not the authority, which, is a doctor or a professional or a therapist or a pharmacist, basically authority who used to tell you or who tells you what to do and you're just going to follow, because the time is changing and it's not like 100 years ago when, there were not enough, data and knowledge. But in my opinion, in 2025, where we are now, and I think he used the term quantum biology, or I can probably name it as a quantum, time where we start to realize, or in my opinion, science is starting to catch up on quantum physics and quantum field, and they're starting to actually express the things which are unpalpable and making them palpable. So this functional doctor was talking about, and he had kind of a pyramid. So at the top of the pyramid, of course, there's acute medicine, which is brilliant. And we all want the acute medicine and care, because if you do have an accident on a ski slope or car accident, you definitely want to be taken care of in hospital for, surgeries, broken legs and things like that, if it happens, because that's the fact. You cannot fix it yourself at home with potato and, your devices, what you find at home. And a functional doctor was having a point, and he was really just kind of having these examples for people to realize that, in a simple way, that it's not possible. But of course, the acute medicine is very important, and I'm grateful that we live in a part of in 2025, but also in the part of the world where the acute medicine is amazing. But when you visualize those who example, just when you visualize a pyramid, this was the very, very peak of the pyramid. What was below was what he called IK deck, or IC, it would be in English, because that is abbreviation for individual context. And that was what was resonating with me very much, because that was what we preach as well. Everyone, even us twins, everyone is individual and everyone's got a different biochemistry, but also has got a different story, different environment, different friends, different colleagues, children, basically people and animals who he or she surrounds themselves with. So we cannot, for that reason, think that use one tablet or one approach for even two people. So let's see, you're dealing with diabetes and you're just going to be advising someone who's, you know, in a totally different background, totally different weight and height. You know, it might be Asian person versus female who is tiny, who can be a white person and has a different biology, chemistry, and different nutrition, different emotions, different story behind it, and a hormonal balance behind our problems. So I think that was very important for people to hear, that it is the individual context. And we see in the surgery as well, right? It's never about one road leading to the wrong, which means what I'm trying to say, that even us who are, our first mission is to open doors to people, to say what is going on in, their oral cavity, which is connected with the whole body and with all your being as well. But we know that, you help yourself a lot if we remove the three interference, if you do have them, which means metals, root canals, and cavitations. We keep repeating it. But also we know if people doing the same stuff in terms of eating unhealthy food or processed food, I don't want to say unhealthy because in this day people do not distinguish what's healthy or unhealthy, but probably a good start is going to be real food from real ingredients. And if you're gonna eat processed food, if you're not gonna exercise, if you're not gonna sleep enough, if you're not gonna do detox every now and then, if you're gonna hold grudges, if you're gonna be upset and, angry all the time, that's all stuff which influence you.
Yeah. I love to share the story of the guys we met in longevity health launch, because I think that's underlining everything what you said about that we have to take our health responsibility to our hands. And I think really time is changing, because these younger guys, I think they were in 30s, they really were aware that it's also the journey they take, that the journey they had to take was that, and I'm always very fascinated why they come to this summit, why they kind of care about health, why do they care about nutrition, supplementation, what kind of supplementation they use and take. So we started chatting, and the journey for one of them started 4 years ago when he got Crohn's disease, but very, acute stage. And it was after the third vaccination. So he just kind of tracked it back. He was kind of forced to do the vaccination. And, and there was no any anger or negative thought about vaccination, because he said it just created his story. It's just really becoming a very professional who may one day be helping other people. So I love that they were sharing that on their journey, they were using hyperbaric chamber. I loved that they were saying that they saw very quick results and then long-term results also. So one of the quick ones, after the first session, the guy, he said that he was very flexible in sports, that his coach noticed. He does sport gymnast kind of positions, animal movement sport arts. And
It's like a martial arts,
yeah,
I guess.
that's he said. That was very fascinating for everybody. Plus his inflammation on his neck disappeared after one session. and long term. And I was always very curious to ask, like, what was the protocol you used, and where did you go? So he said he bought 20 sessions, and then he was going twice a week for an hour. And then he had some time off, and then he bought another 20 sessions. So it's nothing comes in really one session, nothing. The body is reorganizing back to its program, back to its origin, and back to its health. I loved also that we're supplementing, we're researching what supplements based on their data. So based on their research, their blood tests and genetic tests. So that's very important. And it's also, for me, I was admiring them because who would know this? You would go to the doctor and they wouldn't offer you this. So they really took their...
As a matter of fact, the guy was just saying that he was advised or forced by the doctor to come over every 3 months for some tests, in patients. But he said, well, would I? I don't have, any symptoms. Why would you just every 3 months test me? He's feeling well. He's on a
energy and diet.
He was doing a carnivore diet. He's supplementing, like Eva said, based on his blood results and DNA test. And he's slowly recovering. It doesn't happen overnight.
Yeah, but also he is an advanced doctor, because I think us clients or us patients, they will change the world, because we would be requesting a different approach. And he was lucky to meet the doctor who was actually very happy to see that he doesn't need to take corticosteroids, that he doesn't need to have intervention. And he was really fascinated and was asking, how did you do it? So she's learning with him.
Yeah.
And she started studying homeopathy. So I think this is how we change the world. The clients, the patients, the request, the demand of clients, different approaches. So, yeah. So,
yeah. And then the basis of the pyramid was the natural laws. So that was all about like quantum physics, nature, because that's a big part as well, to be able to connect with the nature, to go back to the roots where we were, to, harmonize our neural system. Because if the neural system is balanced, the body actually is very capable
to repair
and to regenerate to its origin.
And to make the picture of these guys, so we touch on this tool because we were talking maybe for an hour, listening to their story and adding things and asking other questions. So of course, because we are biological dentists, we were asking, what about your lower molars? What do you know about biological dentistry? Do you have dead teeth, root canals, amalgams? And he said, of course I know this. I have done all the amalgam fillings. They were removed safely. He doesn't have any dead teeth. We were talking about cavitations, but also we touched on, like as you said, base, which is quantum physics and emotions and also spiritual work. So he said, well, yes, I've been there too. I studied numerology. So very smart guy. He really, really wants to heal.
He dig deep.
Yeah.
And he's just at the beginning, right?
And he's so humble because he said, look, it's my journey. And, I'll just touch on it and I move on. If, I'll take something, if it works, perfect, then I will take it. I will research. I will find the best brand in the world. If it's in States, then, it's complicated to deliver to Europe. So he finds the European company. So yeah, very good to hear like example, which is like, people standing next to you.
That's my belief as well. Like and even from my experience, if I try something several times, 5 times, and I find no more benefits in it, or not even no more benefits or no benefits for me, I'll
probably... Hana, that's the base also, because we were talking also about what about maybe, the lower intestines. It's like, is there anything you need to release? So we were talking, there was Dorothy from Germany. So she was talking about emotions and trauma. So this is also the way. And he said, yes, this is also something I'm looking into. And I really liked these two guys because they said like, it's very complex, we have to go to all the corners.
And we have
Very
to agree
holistic.
because it is complex, and maybe let's talk about emotions in next episode.
Yes, see you in the next episode.
Thank you for joining us on Healing Through Dentistry podcast. We hope today's conversation has inspired you to see your smile as the gateway to whole body well-being.
To stay connected, visit us on our website or follow us on social media.
If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who could benefit.
Until next time, remember, healing starts with a smile.
Take care.
And we will see you in the next episode.